Very, very important. Do not eat it when it just came out of the oil because you will burn your mouth.
Already did it.
Hi everybody, this is Judy from The Walks of Life. Today I'm going to show everybody how to make spring rolls so you can have it for your Chinese New Year celebration. Every dish on the Chinese New Year table usually have a deeper meaning. In this case, the spring roll is the first son of spring, and it's also a little wishful package that you want to hope that your family, your friends and relatives to have in the new year. Good fortunes, good health, good happiness, and all that. I'm gonna show you how to do it. The ingredients that we need is Napa cabbage, carrot, mushroom, and a little bit of pork, as well as bamboo shoots. This bamboo shoots is already julienne, and all the other ingredients we're gonna do the same so they're consistent. This is spring roll wrapper. It's a much thinner wrapper than an egg roll wrapper. Egg roll wrapper is very thick. It feels like noodles, pasta. But this is really very thin, like a piece of paper. You can almost see through it. And the texture is also very different. Once fried, it's very crispy, light, flaky. Today I'm gonna show you how to cut all the ingredients, how to make the filling, how to wrap, how to fry, maybe even how to eat. So Napa cabbage, take them apart, wash them, and the key is to shake off any excess water. Use a salad spinner, shake them off, because Napa cabbage already produces a lot of liquid. After you wash them, you julienne the Napa. Make it like as thin as possible, especially the stem part of it, because it's very hard. So that is the Napa. Here are the shiitake mushroom, which I soaked since last night. It depends on how big your shiitake mushroom is. The best way is to soak the night before, okay? And now once it's soaked, as you can see, it's very soft. What you wanna do is you wanna squeeze the liquid out, okay? And then you're gonna remove this little
Stem.
Remove the little stem because this is too hard. We don't want that. You can cut it like this. It's okay size, but if you're fancy, you can go like this. You can even make it smaller. Split in half and then cut. That makes it even thinner versus this. Okay, believe it or not, this size would distribute much better in your filling than this size. The stem, you can save it for soups. Freeze it, whatever, save it for later. And now we're gonna julienne the carrot. So I like to cut it on an angle because I get longer strand. You do have to be careful, don't cut your finger. This hand is very important to secure the carrot so it doesn't slip away. Okay, and then you go like this. Julienne. Wow, I've never done this so well on camera. Oh, we also need garlic and bamboo shoots. 1 clove of garlic minced, and this bamboo shoots we like to use actually, it's just canned. They already come julienne. All you have to do is open it, dump it out, and drain the liquid off. Recipe calls for 1 clove of garlic. Pick a big one. Okay. Now we're ready to cook. Okay, next I'm gonna cut the pork. And I like to cut it on a different cutting board. This is a vegetable, this is meat, so we wanna keep it separate. The best time to cut the meat is actually when it's half frozen. Look at this grain. You wanna cut it against the grain, thin slices, and then you go julienne. You want the meat to be very thin, small. Okay, now we're gonna marinate the pork. Add sea salt and white pepper, 1 teaspoon cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of Szechuan, and then ½ teaspoon of sesame oil. Just mix everything together. Once the pork is done marinating, we can start cooking the filling. For the cornstarch slur, we're gonna need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of liquid. In this case, you could use the mushroom water that you get from soaking the mushroom, just for flavor. And the key with cornstarch slur is that right before you add it into the wok, you have to stir again because this particular starch settles. So now the wok is lightly smoking. I'm gonna add the oil, 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna put the carrots in first. Gonna put in the garlic. And then I'm gonna add the mushroom. You can use slightly higher heat because we got a big quantity of ingredients here. They can take some heat. I'm supposed to brown the meat first. I don't know what happened. One more time. We're gonna preheat the wok until it's smooth. Ooh, let it sear a little bit. Don't even mention I screwed it up.
We have to because we're gonna add the cooked carrots and the mushrooms.
Okay. So far I have the pork, the mushroom, the carrots, and the garlic. The rest of the ingredient is gonna ready to go in. Bamboo shoots and the napa. Let it cook a little bit. So now we are going to add the seasoning. Tablespoon of Daoxingwan, 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, and you can put more if you like, and dash of white pepper. I like quite a bit. And then we just need a pinch of sugar. Mix. Here, the recipe gives you an option to add water to liquid to the filling. It's completely up to you. If you like drier fillings, it's fine. You don't need to add water because the napa will release plenty of liquid. I will add some liquid because a couple of things. My wok cooks off liquid very fast, and also we like it slightly gooey. So I'm gonna use half cup of mushroom juice. See that? You have a little bit of juice. Liquid, it's better that way. We're gonna cover and cook for a couple of minutes. Okay. Right now, the texture looks like you can cook a little longer. And at this point, you can actually taste the filling, see how you like it. This is time to adjust the taste. Not bad. You don't want it to be too salty because you know what? Especially if you're gonna use dipping sauce. Dipping sauce is pretty salty, concentrated flavor, and if your filling is too salty, then the salt from the inside and the outside, it's going to be overwhelming. I think this is pretty soft. I'm going to add the cornstarch slur. Like I said earlier, you see this? It's settled and it's pretty hard. If you don't stir it and break it apart and dissolve it, you're going to get lumps. And this, sometimes we get readers asking us, oh, why is my cornstarch lumpy? That's what happens because you didn't dissolve it completely. Okay? Adjust the heat, not too high, and I can add a little bit of water as I go. You have to feel for it, okay? Too dry, you add a little bit of liquid, and if it's too wet, just turn up the heat. See, right now, this is pretty good consistency. It's moist, it's not too wet, slightly gooey. The ingredients are kind of stick together, which is what you want, but not wet. See that? There's no running liquid. You gotta have to feel, adjust, and as you go. Don't be afraid. Okay, so now the filling has to cool because that is also very important. Do not make spring roll with a hot filling. It has to be completely cooled. Now Sarah's gonna show you how to make the dipping sauce.
Hey everyone, it's Sarah here, and I am stepping into the video to talk about spring roll dipping sauces. So spring rolls aren't always served with a dipping sauce. If you get spring rolls at dim sum, you more than likely will not see a dipping sauce served with it. But that doesn't mean that a lot of you aren't looking for a dipping sauce to have with your spring rolls. So today we're going to cover 3 different options. When we serve spring rolls, our go-to sort of dip, sort of a la British fish and chips vibes, it's a rice vinegar. So this is Shanghai rice vinegar, and it just like provides a really nice acidic contrast and a brightness that contrasts the sort of richness of something fried, which is, you know, the spring roll, or in our neighbors across the pond's case, the fish and chips. You could also use a seasoned rice vinegar, which has a little bit of sugar and salt in it. This one has just a really nice sort of like subtle sweetness, and it's just really balanced and great with dumplings, or in this case, spring rolls. Alternatively, of course, you could use a black vinegar, which has become more and more sort of known ever since soup dumplings have become more known. A lot of people ask us, can I use black vinegar? Because they already have it in their pantry. And yes, you absolutely could use this to dip a spring roll into. However, this vinegar is definitely gonna have a stronger, more sort of like robust, like malty flavor that, in my opinion, competes a little bit too much with the spring roll. We also have a couple other options. So one is a Worcestershire-based dipping sauce, which is what my dad actually originally posted his spring roll recipe with. You don't see it very often anymore, but back in the day at some dim sum restaurants, you would find this sauce served with spring rolls sometimes. I mean, it depended on the restaurant, but it has kind of this definitely a Worcestershire flavor, but with a little bit of sweetness from sugar. It's sort of mellowed out a little bit by soy sauce as well. And that is also a delicious option. And then we have what a lot of American diners want to see with a spring roll, which is a sweet chili sauce. So I'm going to show you how to make that as well. So if you're not a fan of any of those three options, we also have others on the blog that we've already published. My sister's Yum Yum sauce, which is sort of like the spicy mayo-based sauce, if you're into that. There's also my dad's sweet and sour sauce. So if you want a little tang from the vinegar, but you want more sweet, then go with that one. And then of course we have our duo of traditional Chinese takeout fried item dipping sauces, which is the Chinese hot mustard and duck sauce. We have recipes for those that you can check out, and we'll link all of these in the description box below. And finally, we have a Vietnamese dipping sauce, Ngoc Cham, which is what a Vietnamese style spring roll is served with. It has kind of these similar elements, a little bit of tang, sweetness. It goes really well, obviously, with Vietnamese fried spring rolls, and it would taste delicious with these spring rolls as well. So let's get into these sauces. So let's start with the two vinegars. I'm gonna pour them out so you can see the consistency, and then I'm gonna taste them and kind of describe their flavor. First, we have the Shanghai rice vinegar. There's only one brand that we know of that you can get here in the US. This is it. This vinegar is kind of hard to find. It's often out of stock, and I feel like part of the reason is us, because we've promoted it in several recipes and people are buying it. So whenever I go to the store and if I see it, I just buy a bottle because I always want to have it on hand. And I use this a lot for dumplings as well. It almost looks like Shaoxing wine, the color. It's lighter. It's not clear like regular rice vinegar, and it's not as dark as a Chinese black vinegar. And I would say that the flavor is sort of more mild and rounded. It's definitely sharp and tangy, like any vinegar, but it has this sort of like sweetness, and it just like coats your tongue in a really nice way that is very similar to black vinegar, but it's not gonna be as like straight sharp as like a rice vinegar. We can also pour the Chinese black vinegar, which, as you can see, it looks more like soy sauce. It's very, very dark. This is the type of vinegar that you would use to serve with like a soup dumpling. This type of vinegar is from Zhejiang province. People describe it as similar to balsamic. Like it's like very rich and like very complex in its flavor. And I think for that reason, it's not my favorite for spring rolls. I feel like this type of vinegar might overpower it a little bit. That said, if you like the flavor, absolutely use this one. If you can't find either of these vinegars, I would just get a seasoned rice vinegar, and then if it's a little bit too sharp, just stir in a little bit of sugar or even like maple syrup. I use that sometimes just because it's easier to dissolve, to just sort of like sweeten it and balance that sharpness a little bit. That would also be delicious with the spring rolls. Now let's make the Worcestershire dipping sauce. So I have a tablespoon of hot water in here. It has to be hot just so that you can dissolve the sugar. If you have like simple syrup to hand, you could also use like a tablespoon or so of simple syrup. So I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of sugar, which sounds kind of like a lot, and it is kind of a lot for a dipping sauce, but Worcestershire is a very strong flavor, and I think that the sweetness is necessary to kind of tame that into a dipping sauce. So I'm just gonna stir it until it's mostly dissolved. This takes a second. So if you have simple syrup lying around, I would just use that because it'll speed this up significantly. We're pretty dissolved, and the consistency is actually quite viscous. It's almost like a syrup. Now we're gonna add a tablespoon of rice vinegar and a tablespoon of soy sauce. This just adds a lot of umami. It adds salt, and it also kind of just like mellows the Worcestershire a little bit. To be honest, just that without the Worcestershire sauce isn't a bad dipping sauce. I mean, soy sauce, vinegar, and sugar, and a little bit of water to dilute and just like make everything come to life is not a bad way to go. Now I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. So let's stir it all together. and give it a taste. It's really good. So this is a tweak on my dad's version, which is published on the blog. I added a little bit more sugar. I increased the Worcestershire sauce, and I also added the rice vinegar element. For me, this one is a little bit more balanced. I think my dad would say that his version is a little bit more retro and more along the lines of what you would have seen at a dim sum restaurant when he was growing up. I just think that this version is a little bit more balanced. So let's make the sweet chili sauce. So here I have agave nectar. You could also substitute honey. I'm using this because it's a little bit thicker than simple syrup mixture. So I'm adding a tablespoon. This is a half tablespoon measure. And the sweet chili sauce, we want it not like a viscous sauce, but a little bit more on the viscous side. I'm gonna add a half tablespoon or 1.5 teaspoons of rice vinegar and a teaspoon of sambal or chili garlic sauce. And don't be afraid to get any of like the oil in there. It's a welcome addition. And a half a teaspoon of soy sauce. And I'm gonna add a clove of fresh garlic. So you may be wondering like, oh, you put chili garlic sauce in there. Why would you also put fresh garlic? The fresh garlic just gives the sauce like a really nice zip. You could use half of this if you want, if you don't want it to be like garlic crazy. I'm just gonna put all of it. And then I'm gonna stir it all up. And that's it. Sweet chili sauce. Ooh, actually, decently spicy. So if you want to adjust the spice level and make it like a little bit less hot, you totally could. You could add half a teaspoon of the chili garlic sauce. But if you're really a spice fiend and you like really love spicy food and you just put chili oil on things because you just think it needs it, this is the sauce for you. So those are our 3 spring roll dipping sauces, and I hope that you found one that you would like to try. And I think our spring roll filling is just about cooled, so my mom is gonna come back and show you how to wrap and fry these.
So now comes the fun part. We're gonna wrap the spring rolls. The spring roll wrappers are usually at the Asian supermarket. They're in the freezer section. They should be frozen until you're ready to use. Take it out of the freezer the night before, put it in the refrigerator. The morning that you're making it, take it out. It completely defrosts and comes to room temperature. As you can see, they peel rather nicely when they are completely defrost. If you don't peel like this, that means they're not defrost. It is very thin. The filling is cooled, but they're still moistened, soft. To prepare for the wrapping, you also need a little bit of cornstarch slurry. This is to help close the end after you wrapped it. Again, every time you dip your finger into it, you want to make sure it's dissolved. So when you're wrapping, you put it on an angle, not like this, you're on an angle like this. The corner faces you. And you take maybe about tablespoons of filling, you arrange them on your wrapper like this. And you do want a piece of paper to keep your hands clean so your spring roll comes out clean. To make your spring roll look professional, this is actually really important move. The first move is to tuck it tight, because if you don't tuck it tight, then everything else is just not gonna follow through correctly, all right? And then you roll one more time like that, and then you close 2 sides. You go like this, and you go like this. Once it's folded, you want this whole width same. So when you roll it up, everything is even. You see this? As you roll, same width, roll, roll. Now you're at the end. You dip your finger into your cornstarch slurry, you wet this whole corner, and try not to overstuff it. And then you close. That's a perfect spring roll. And then what you want to do is you want to put the open side down on a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. The reason you wanted to do that is like the dumpling, okay? You can freeze them and then you put it in a Ziploc bag or freeze-proof containers. You store them in the freezer and then you take out a couple, fry them whenever you feel like it, because you don't want to eat it all in one sitting, because now we have 25 of them. And then you continue. You see that? If you position all the skins correctly, the folds, the position of the folds, the width of the folds, all that stuff, all your spring roll is gonna come out uniform, one size. very pretty. I'm pretty quick with the wrapping. If you're slow and you're trying to be diligent and careful, which is what you should do, keep your wrappers under a towel. Right now is winter time and your heat is on, the house is very dry, the wrapper can dry very quickly. So you actually wanted to keep it protected from drying out. And as you need one, all you have to do is open it and then take one piece or two pieces at a time and then put the rest back under the cover. So now we are going to fry them. We like to use a small pot because the pots are deeper so it doesn't bubble over. And also a small pot uses less oil to get the right depth that you need, which is mostly about 2.5 inches of oil. That should be good enough. Technically, the filling is cooked already, so you don't have to worry about that. We just have to get the skin golden brown. Now, here is a little thing about if you fry them when your spring rolls are frozen. If you defrost them, then fry, it's okay. You can also fry them when they're completely frozen. It just takes a little longer for it to cook through the frozen filling. If you don't want to deep fry them, we also have a recipe or post on how to pan fry them with a lot less oil. It's like pan frying dumplings. Check out that recipe for all the techniques that I shared. Okay, we're ready to fry. There's no need to drop it or anything like that. Just slowly put it down like this. It is important to keep the oil temperature around 325. The reason being is that you want it to cook long enough that the inside layer of the skin gets fried as well. Okay? If you're at a high temperature, it will turn golden brown really fast, but the inside hasn't got to it yet. And you do want it to roll it a couple of times. Other than that, there's really no trick to this. As you can see, this edge flipped open. So that means when I was using the cornstarch slurry, I probably didn't dissolve the cornstarch enough. So make sure you do that very well. This one, it's perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna go for the Worcestershire dipping sauce.
Okay, I'm gonna go for the traditional Shanghainese rice vinegar one.
This is my favorite Chinese New Year food. That's the only time of year that we make these. Everything is fried through, completely crispy. Sometimes in an egg roll, you get like unfried skin, like you have like slightly raw inside. But because the spring roll skin is so thin, it is fried all the way completely through. It is crispy all the way through, and it's just delicious.
The Worcestershire sauce is actually really good.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of similar to the vinegar, honestly.
I like the basic.
I know. It's the best. It's the best. Just a straight Shanghai rice vinegar is the best. But if you're like not a vinegar person, then we have these other two options.
It's not a requirement. But if you serve this on Chinese New Year, we suggest that to put this on a firecracker pattern. And you take this to your table. And I think it's very pretty. Another tip, very, very important. Do not eat it when it just came out of the oil, because you will burn your mouth.
Already did it.
Yes. Leave it out for like 10-15 minutes while let it cool, then enjoy it.
It's very tempting to eat them right out of the fryer, which I did, and I did burn the roof of my mouth. So.
And that whole like
yeah, that
won't save you.
No, it won't. It won't.
Okay, that's a wrap.
So if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out more recipes on thewalksoflife.com.
And thank you for watching, and Happy New Year. 恭喜发财，新年快乐.
It's like kind of...
Turn off notifications, please.
It'll be nice if there's somebody else in the kitchen that can help you do this. Just saying. Just saying. If somebody's listening, you will show me. I will show you my the movements.
You will show me.
You will show me. I will show you.